My name is Zita Felfoldi. I live in San Diego, and I'm involved in a couple of non-profit organizations. That's what I do.
What exactly non-profit organizations?
So I'm originally from Hungary, and there is a Hungarian non-profit organization which the mission of it is to create and translate educational material from English to Hungarian, and I help with the translations. And the other one is a local non-profit organization here in San Diego, and it's also related to Hungary or the Hungarian community. It's called the House of Hungary.
What's the first one called?
It's it has a Hungarian name, but if you translate it, it's Academy Without Borders.
Academy
Academy Without Borders, but I think they use it only in Hungarian. And they are creating digital material for learning. Basically, this is the future of learning, I guess. And it's very useful, and they are trying to get these materials to different kind of schools or teaching circles. So.
Because I know you through Toastmasters, so I do have a few questions about Toastmasters.
Oh yeah, I should have mentioned Toastmasters because it's also a kind of non-profit organization, and I've been involved in Toastmasters for
how long?
4 years now.
4 years.
Almost 4 years.
And you joined in 2000?
2019.
19.
In the fall.
Okay.
3.5.
And which club are you a member of?
I'm the member of Scripps Teasers Toastmasters here in Scripps Ranch. This is a part of San Diego, which is very residential, and the club itself is a community club.
And what's your progress in the Toastmaster journey right now?
I'm on level 5, so I have 2 level 5 projects to complete, and I will finish my first path.
What's it called?
Innovative planning.
Innovative planning.
Yeah.
And how many speeches have you given, and which one is your favorite?
I think about 10 or 11. I haven't counted it yet, but my favorite speech is actually the one I gave about 2 years ago. It was a level 3 project, creating a proposal, and the title of my speech was "Thank God We Have a Subaru." And the speech was about, or the proposal was about converting this car into a camper car, so not camper van. It's into a car which we can drive to different places. We can park, we can sleep in it. We would have a little kitchen in it, a kind of camping, but we wouldn't have to put up a tent.
What leadership positions have you had?
At Scripps Teasers, once I was a vice president of public relations, and currently I am the VP of education.
And how do Toastmasters help you in life or at work?
It's interesting because change is very slow and incremental, and you don't really realize it while you are going through this I wouldn't say transformation, but I used to be a very shy person. I didn't like to stand up in front of people, even if there was a group discussion. I wasn't very advocate or vocal. But I noticed that I have more courage or more confidence in speaking up, and I think I attribute it to Toastmasters, because in Toastmasters, not only that we have so many, from week to week, we have a lot of chance to speak in front of people. Although we know these people, they're always strangers. But the other things that Toastmasters offers, like if you are in a leadership position, you really need to make your case or give some reports at officers meeting or go outside your club and get involved in other areas of Toastmasters activity. And yeah, I think I have gained more confidence. I'm not saying that I'm fear of stage fright, but gradually I might get there.
You mentioned you're involved with several other nonprofit organizations. Did you get a chance to use the ability, the things that you learned from Toastmaster in other organizations?
Yeah, I think I do. With House of Hungary, for example, I was after serving as a VP PR here at Toastmasters, they offered me the opportunity to run for the board of directors at this organization, and I was more adventurous, and I accepted the offer, and they elected me. So I'm in the board now. So I never expected that I would be in such positions. I never aspired. I don't even aspire right now to be in like leadership positions. But for some reason,
So you're saying that if it wasn't because of Toastmaster, you probably wouldn't accept that?
Yeah, probably. Because it's something an uncharted territory for me.
And do you remember any interesting stories in your Toastmaster journey?
Sometimes our club had was involved in some activities like outside a club. We organized put up a stand and went to a farmer's market, and I really enjoyed standing there trying to advocate for our club. We were trying to recruit new members, and it was just a really good situation to get to know my fellow Toastmasters, who I always meet in the meetings. But at that time, it was a different situation.
And do you have any challenges during your journey?
I had a big challenge. Somebody convinced me that I should be a contest chair for an area contest. And I think it's a really tough job to be in, because for the contest chair, all the information goes through the contest chair. You have to be in touch with the contestants or the judges, so who are on the other side of the contest. And it was a really rewarding experience, I think. But it was a tough period.
Was it too many parties involved? Too many?
Yeah, a lot of stakeholders, and also we did it online. So I think that wasn't the first contest online, but still, we didn't have much experience in Toastmasters how to conduct an online contest. And yeah, there were a lot of issues that we had to deal with, which you don't really think about when you are organizing an in-person event.
Yeah, I know that person who convinced you to do that.
Really?
It was me, was it?
Yeah, it was Eugene. Because you were the area director?
Yeah, I was Area 22 director, and you
Yeah.
helped with the Area 22 speech contest.
Yes.
Yeah, I really think you did a great job. I think that was one of the most successful event organizing for. Yeah, I have experience.
Okay.
Because we have experienced a lot of the different scenarios, we thought about a lot of things. Yeah, I think we were really considerate and thoughtful.
Yes, I remember that we had a lot of meetings and trying to find ways to troubleshoot any unexpected incidents.
Yeah.
And luckily we didn't have much. Maybe one person got cut off from the internet, one of the contestants, and then we had to bring her back. But it was so streamlined thanks to the chief judge, and yeah, I think it went well. Not because of me, but because we had a really good team.
No, I think you play
experienced.
a very, very big part in it. And also we do have a big team. We have a chief judge, John,
Yes.
and then I have Toastmaster Jackie.
Yeah, Jackie was a toaster, and she was really good with boosting up.
And I was the Zoom host, was I?
You were the Zoom host.
And you were the contest chair.
I was the contest chair. Yeah. And there were quite a few very experienced leaders from the district who came and
help us.
Or with advice or actually help.
Yeah. Great time.
Yeah. But that was a tough task.
And do you have any advice to new Toastmasters members?
I was thinking about this for a while because I now have a mentor. I'm a mentor to a new member, but I would recommend, first of all, make use of the mentoring program of Toastmasters, and especially and also like within our club. So the mentoring program is like you have an experienced member who is assigned to a new member for 3 months initially, and this is the time when they kind of ease the new person into the club's business, how a club meeting is going, trying to encourage to take roles, helping them get started on their path. And I think mentoring, so for new members, make use of your mentors, like pick their brains and call them and text them or email them if you have any questions or doubt. And the other thing, maybe it's not the very newest members, but when you get comfortable with a club, just get involved, because then you learn a lot, not about how the organization, how it's structured. And I think involvement, I experienced it first when I was the VP of public relations, how rewarding it could be to be more focused on the club's goings, and we had to broadcast it to the outside public as well. So it's good to be involved.
Yeah, I think that's a great advice.
Okay, so this is a teapot made in Hungary by a Hungarian potter. And the story of this teapot is that we lived in Hungary, we lived in a small village, and we organized a farmers market. I was there from the beginning, organizing it, and one of the few vendors that we had was this potter from a village nearby, and she has this is a typical pattern that she is using. This is a little flower that that grows in the spring, and when I look at it and make tea in it, I remember that my home.
We have talked about your Toastmaster journey, so I'd like to talk about a little about your life journey, if that's okay.
Yes.
And you're living here in San Diego, USA. What other places have you lived?
So as I mentioned earlier, I'm originally from Hungary, where I was born. I grew up there, and I'm Hungarian national. And I lived in Hungary like most of my childhood, and I got my education in Hungary as well. I graduated from university there, and after that I came to graduate school here to the United States and spent 4 years here. And then my husband got a job offer to Japan, and Hungary is a small country, and being such a place where the language of which is not very similar to other languages around it, Hungarian people feel, I wouldn't say isolated, but I would say, maybe that's just my impression and among my friends, that there's a desire to know the world. And Japan it sounded for us a very exotic place. And when my husband got this job offer, we just said, yes, we are going. So we went to Japan, and we lived also, and then we moved back to Hungary. We lived in the Netherlands as well, and then came back to the United States. So it's kind of circling around the world. But yeah, Hungary, Japan, Netherlands, and the US.
What did you study for the postgraduate?
In
You
the
said
grad
in
school,
USA?
anthropology.
Anthropology. And how long did you stay in Japan?
About less than 3 years.
3 years. And Netherlands?
About 4.
4 years. And USA, when did you move to USA?
In when was that? 2017. So we moved to Portland, Oregon.
Oh, Portland.
In 17. We lived there for 2 years and then moved here to San Diego.
Okay. So because your husband's job?
Yeah, because of his job.
And so you have lived in so many places.
Yes.
Which one is your favorite and why?
It's Hungary because because my family lives there, and basically I want to hope that a lot of my friends. So I still have a lot of friends in there in Hungary, but yeah, it's my birthplace. It's I like my country.
Oh, besides Hungary, what the other
Okay,
place? USA, Japan, Netherlands.
Oh, it's hard to choose because all were very different. There are things that I like in every country. In Japan, when we were there, it was all about exploring a culture which is so different from where I came from. In the Netherlands, it's also a European country, but it was we had a very good like social environment there through the school of my children, and I got to know a lot of. That's where we've had this expatriate community there, and got to know a lot of people from many different countries, many different cultures, and it was very interesting to see how you are coming from your tradition and bringing certain customs, but all in all, you are the same people. You are in a place which is foreign to you, and you have to adjust. And this process of adjustment can be different, but you had the same problems. So you are the same kind. You are people. There's not much difference when it comes to the personal level. You can get angry, you can be happy about things, you can get anxious about the same things, no matter where you are coming from. You are human.
I understand I know there's a lot of difference between like Japan and Western country, but what would you say the biggest difference or what differences did you notice between Netherlands and Hungary, the two European countries?
The bicycle. So the Netherlands has this really elaborate network of bike routes, and it's so safe to bike in the cities or between cities, or you can even bike where we lived. We could bike to the next country, which was Belgium, and you could follow a bike route, and you got there without being afraid of cars going by and hitting you. So the Dutch, I know it. They developed this bike route system because there were so many accidents, car accidents, and the cities in the 60s or 70s, I don't know, cities got really crowded with cars. There were a lot of accidents involving children. So there was a big movement of making transportation or traffic safe for pedestrians, and they were trying to figure out how to get rid of the cars. So in the cities, so bike routes, that's very different. I don't want to talk about the mentality of the people because it's very like generalized, and I know that I really liked that Dutch people are really straightforward. If they want you to know something, they would tell you. So it was a bit strange for me, but my best friends there who were Dutch, my Dutch neighbors, two of them, and I have learned a lot from them about how to be human.
How about US and versus European? What's
US
difference did you notice?
Here you have a lot of people like smiling and being friendly, in just a superficial way, or when you
walking by,
for example, if you go to a grocery store and you go to the checkout, there's a difference how the person behaves who are at the cash register in different countries. And here, people are, they engage in conversation. They are asking you about, it's small talk. I know it doesn't have a deep meaning, but it still makes this interaction very delightful and easygoing. And then you pay and then go take your groceries home. So I like this on the surface you have this kindness.
But people don't do that in Europe.
Probably they do, but it's very like prominent here. All right, so this is a tie that I got from a friend of mine in the Netherlands. She made it especially for me. She started to make pottery when we lived there, and she is now really good at it. The tile, it's very typical Dutch design with the blue print, and there is a saying that says, I think it's a Dutch proverb or Dutch saying, oost best, toes best. My Dutch pronunciation is not the best, but it means even if you are, you know English, you might understand it. East, west, home is best.
Yeah, it sounds similar.
Yeah, and and it's she made it before we left. That this was a goodbye present, and it means that wherever you are in the world, I guess, if you make it your home, then that's the best place to be. Or create a home, that's the best place to be.
Yeah, you mentioned that you have to adjust to a new environment, to Japan, Netherlands, USA. So what is your tips of quickly adjusting to a new place?
Oh, quick adjustment. I don't think there is quick adjustment, but if you go to a country whose language you don't speak or don't speak very well, I think it's good to focus on a little bit of language learning so that you could easily find your way around. I think, and it's also, like learning a language is a really good way of looking into how those people think or see the world who speak that language. And of course, it's time consuming, and it's and for quick adjustment. And the other thing is just try to lose Google Maps and try to explore without maps.
Okay.
If you can. It's also a good way of kind of settling into that environment, like know where you are.
Exploring new places.
And in new places, it's always good to just explore without any purpose.
How many languages do you speak?
Oh, I speak only English besides my mother tongue, but I learned about 6 in my lifetime. I started to learn.
What are they?
So when I grew up in Hungary, Russian was still compulsory from 5th grade. So I learned Russian
And your mother tongue is called Hungarian?
Hungarian, yeah. So I learned Russian for almost 8 years, and I'm really sad that I don't speak that language. I understand words, but it seems such a waste of time, learning a language for 8 years in school and you are not able to communicate well in that language. And I started to study some Romance languages, Spanish, Portuguese, and French.
Spanish, Portuguese, and then French.
And when we went to Japan, I started to learn Japanese so that I could, communicate with local people on a basic level. Yeah.
Did you learn
English?
Netherlands language?
Yeah. And I had my neighbor taught me Dutch.
Dutch.
Dutch. It's called Dutch language, but I didn't go far with that.
So besides English and mother tongue, which one are you best? Yeah.
A few years ago, we went back to Japan, and I was able to. A lot of things came back from the Japanese. So out of those languages, I used Japanese the most in its native environment.
Okay.
But
that's 8, not 6.
Oh.
We also have some plans, maybe going to a different country, but we do have a concern for our children. So what did you do when you go to Japan or Netherlands? Did you take your children? You took your whole family went there, right?
Yeah.
And what school did you send them? Did you send to a bilingual school or international school or lingual or local school? What kind of school?
So in Japan, my daughter we had only one child at that time, and she was really small. She was a baby. But we put her into a kind of local daycare twice a week, just to be among children, and that was when I could go to my Japanese class.
And did she learn Japanese?
A little bit, yeah. But I think immersion is good, like immersing a child into the language.
She still remembers the Japanese?
No, she doesn't. No, because she was small when we left. She didn't even have her language capabilities. They weren't as developed. She was like 3 when we left. Okay. So, but and then there was this other. When we went to the Netherlands, they were bigger, but they went to an international school where they had to learn Dutch as well. But we wanted them to, because one was already in high school, started high school, the other one was almost like middle school age, and we wanted them to have a better grasp of English. Because we didn't know how long we would stay in the Netherlands. So it depends on, if you know that you are gonna spend years and years in that country, it's best to, learn the language. If you are not sure, if you know it's only a few years, then I think international schools are better.
So they speak.
So that they could, because if you at the age of 10, for example, if you put them into a Dutch school or a French school or whatever school where you are, and then you know that in 3 years you will be gone, then the curriculum is different. There will be a break in their studies, and they might not get as much out of the curriculum if they don't know they have to learn the language from scratch.
So they speak Dutch and English in the school?
They didn't know it was English language school, but they had Dutch language classes.
Can they speak Dutch or not? No.
I mean, they know words, but they don't practice. It's been so many years, 6 years now, and they haven't practiced it. So, when you don't practice a language, it will, I'm not sure you will lose everything, but it will be suppressed very much.
And how about in USA? Did you Just the US school
US
or
school.
US school? And how do you teach them Hungarian? Do they speak Hungarian?
Well, we spoke Hungarian at home.
So is it Hungarian only, or what's your rules?
Just Hungarian.
Just Hungarian.
Yeah, of course, sometimes there are things that come to our mind in English, but we don't like to mix it very much. But everybody is Hungarian in our family. The children basically grew up in Hungary, or they started to socialize, went to school in Hungary.
Oh.
So they learn. But I know that a lot of families put a lot of effort in teaching the language.
Yeah.
Like in our House of Hungary, the non-profit organization, there is a school, children's school, where families of Hungarian origin put their children, and they are learning in a playful way, learning the language. They are learning to read and write. So guess what these are?
Flyers? No.
No.
Chopsticks?
No, actually, I used to have long hair,
Oh,
like this
long,
and I met. I think this is from Hungary, and one of these farmer markets or crafts markets. There was this guy who made beautiful objects made out of wood, exotic woods. So I think he got them in small quantities. So all the objects were very different, made with different wood. And I bought these as like putting my hair up with these hair. These are hairpins, basically. Like if you have a long hair, you can like tie it up, and then if you put this hairpin in from two sides, then you would have a bun, and this could hold my hair. So I got them, and it reminds me on my youth, that the time when I had long hair.
When did you get those?
Oh, in my 30s.
Oh.
Maybe 20 years ago.
Oh, that's a long time. So you took it all the way. I guess you took it to Netherlands and Japan as well?
Yeah, I carried it with me. It was in a box, like with a lot of small gadgets.
Change the topic.
Okay, about from languages.
Yeah. What kind of jobs have you done in the past?
Jobs? I'm a little embarrassed in this society, which is very focused on careers, because I spent a lot of time studying, and actually when I was in grad school, I did some jobs on campus, library or clerical job. But my the high point of my employment was when I worked for a major Hungarian museum in Budapest, and I was involved with organizing exhibitions and some part in museum education.
Do you feel that the whole society, our society, is more focusing on the career, or too much emphasis on career instead of taking care of the family, taking care of the children?
I don't. I think there is a value in being able to show that you worked, and so work, I think, is it itself. It has a high value in American society, probably others as well. But I always question what work means, because for quite a few years now, I've been a stay-at-home mom because of like us, moving from places to places. It just turned out that that's the best solution for our family, to have someone, at home in the background, and this kind of, I hope that this provided some stability for our children, and they had to adjust to these different social environments.
Yeah.
So, but I think, stay-at-home moms work a lot as well because they are the managers of the family basically, and it's not. I don't think it's appreciated well enough.
Speaking of the nonprofit organizations, the House of Hungary you mentioned, could you tell us more about the House of Hungary?
Yes, so it's a nonprofit organization here in San Diego, and it's located in Balboa Park. I probably know there are a lot of international houses or cottages.
And there's a House of China there.
Yeah, there are a lot of, I think it's 33, 34 nations have their own little building, and they can showcase their culture, traditions. All these houses are owned by the city, I think. But we can operate there, we can have our own houses, we decide what we do in there. There's only one obligation, that we have to be open every weekend, both days, for about 5 hours. We are open from 11 to 4. And this has to be done by volunteers because we cannot really employ anyone for this job. So it's a really big organizational effort to have enough volunteers to host the houses on the weekend. So this is one thing, hosting the houses. And there are other events that we are either organizing or participating in. So we like to, invite Hungarian performers to like actors or singers or musicians or all kinds. So give them an opportunity to come here to the US and bring some of Hungarian culture to the United States. And these events are always open to the public, although some are in Hungarian language because we cannot do bilingual. And we participate in the events that is put together by the city. Like next big event will be the Ethnic Food Fair.
Ethnic Food Fair
on the 7th of May. And this is an opportunity for all the cottages to sell food. We are not allowed to, engage in any commercial activities, but on these occasions we can sell food, and this is a fundraiser basically for most of these nonprofit organizations, the food fairs. So everybody is, showcasing their traditional cuisine. We are going to sell also some Hungarian food, and people come.
Is this one of your favorite events there, or any other ones is your favorite?
I prefer the cultural events, like there will be a classical piano concert next week. Is it next week? Next Tuesday.
Okay.
So we rented a concert room in La Jolla, the public library in La Jolla, and pianist will come from Hungary, and she will play. I don't know how familiar you are with classical music, but Bartók, Kodály, Franz Liszt, these are all Hungarian composers, and so she will play some of their pieces.
Do you notice any difference between the trees or plants or nature in here in San Diego or versus in Portland or in other European countries?
Yeah, definitely. So here, since it's so close to the desert, I guess, there are a lot of plants that like aridity or dryness, like succulents, cacti, all kinds of trees. And the trees up north are more luscious because they get more water. And of course, compared to other parts of the world, so this is a different vegetation, different ecosystems. So there are trees here that I haven't seen in Europe before, or in my country before. The native plants are very, very different, but I really like it here because I love flowers. And here, all year round, you can see something flowering. In January, in August, in November, there are plants that bring flowers. So it's nice.
I have a few very deep, soul-searching questions.
Okay.
So first one is, what do you like about yourself the most?
It's hard.
It's hard, yeah. I know.
I can be really devoted to things or causes. Like, as when I said to get involved, that also means like if you get involved with something, you devote your time and energy to it, because otherwise it's not worth it.
Yeah, I know. You are very devoted
So
to, at least to our Toastmaster club.
So I think if I could, say something good about myself, I would say that.
What do you like least about yourself?
I make stupid mistakes, and I do, and I know that everyone does, but for some reason, for me, this is the most annoying thing about myself, and because I always try to make sure that I'm careful in what I'm writing, or I try to, like, especially writing messages, and then, for example, if I mix up names or I mix up times, or like I'm really mad about myself, and I make stupid mistakes, but I don't know. I probably there's a way to learn how to forgive yourself.
Is there a person who has made a positive influence in your life?
This job at the museum, I would like to acknowledge the person who was my boss at that time, because I think she was a very exceptional woman, female leader, and I like to. I learned a lot from her, how to navigate. She was a really good negotiator, and it was just good to see how she put together.
What's her name?
Judith.
Judith. How do you spell it?
Judit.
And how do you envision yourself in 5 or 20 years?
5 years might be easier. I will still be here in San Diego. But I have no idea what I will. Probably I will still be going to the Toastmasters meetings, Scripps Teasers, and I'm not probably involved in House of Hungary, but I'm not sure what I will do, like if I will get employed again.
And 20 years?
In 20 years, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be not as young as I am now. But I hope I will still be healthy and active, but I will live in Hungary in 20 years, definitely. Yeah, we will move back by then. And there is a chance that I will have grandchildren. But it all depends on my daughters, but if not, but I will be living in a small village, where we have a house in a small village in Hungary, in a very nice region of Hungary. I will be there, get involved with, have friends and get together every once in a while, or coffee and tea, or do something for the village. Yeah.
Retire.
Retired.
And happily ever after.
I'm not sure. I hope the world wouldn't crash.
And lastly, I have a few questions I borrowed from Tim Ferriss.
Okay.
The famous podcaster. The first one is, if you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would you say and why?
Okay, I have a few options. I thought about that question a lot, but quite recently, my husband and I are talking about the developments in AI. So and some are the things are quite disconcerting about the AI development.
What does he do?
He's a physicist, but it's just something that you like to listen or read books about. He likes to read books and listen to interviews with AI specialists, and we talked about it, and he made me listen to one of these AI. He's also a physicist, but he has a lot of interesting thoughts about the artificial intelligence and where this development might take humanity. So I would put out a sign, beware of AI or ChatGPT or whatever, because there are a lot of good things that you could do with artificial intelligence, but I think the development of it is so fast and uncontrolled.
Especially this year.
Especially this year, when they like OpenAI put out ChatGPT and
yes.
And
have you tried those?
Yes, of course. Who hasn't? Yeah, but we don't know where it could take us.
And next question is, what is an unusual habit or an absurd thing that you love?
Yeah, it might not be unusual or absurd. It's not a habit. It's about food, because I really like fermented food, like sauerkraut, or in Japan they have many fermented, like miso or natto. There is a fermented beans that you put on rice, and I know that a lot of people don't like these because they smell. But I know that they are really good for. But I just like to eat this and drink fermented drinks like kombucha, which is also made with some fungi. So fermented food.
Have you tried fermented tofu?
I have not.
Okay, I'll give you some.
Okay. There are some cheese that are very ripe that I've tried, and
yeah, one will love it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now bring me some fermented tofu.
In the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
So in the last 5 years, it's basically since we lived in the US, I noticed that we spend more time outdoors in nature, and I think we do more hiking more frequently than we ever did before. We always like to go, somewhere, walk in the woods or something, but here in the US, so when we moved to Portland, I was amazed. It was that city has such a good location, because no matter which direction you drive, and you drive an hour or 90 minutes, and then you get to a beautiful forest, for example, and then you can hike there under those huge trees. So, and when we moved here to San Diego, we were actively looking for areas that we can drive in an hour, maybe. Desert. Yeah, but before you get to the desert, there is the Mount Laguna area, which has very nice trails. And yeah, if you wanna go like stay overnight, you can go to the north and hike in those areas. So
it's outdoor.
Hiking. Yeah, like we are not like big outdoor people, but I think this is something that I would like to continue as long as I have healthy body.
Okay, I think I have asked all the questions I prepared. I know there's a lot of questions.
There's a lot of questions.
Any final thoughts?
So thank you, Jinlu, for picking me as your interviewee and making me think about these questions and allowing me to express my thoughts. I hope it's. I was thinking about what Toastmaster gave me in life or other areas of life, and something that it enhanced in me is this self-reflection, because in Toastmasters we often give feedback to others. We learn how to give gentle and constructive feedback, I guess. But it's also very good, like giving feedback to yourself, like reflecting on yourself. And of course, probably without Toastmasters you can do that, but for me it's a good um, environment to do it, to learn also from my fellow Toastmaster members how to look at certain things that come up in life, certain problems. So yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you for being the interview. It's probably challenging, doing some interviews.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand. But thank you so much, Zita.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.